Okay, here are the temperature set points for the south greenhouse. During the day, it is set to heat at 64 and cool at 75. That's a little warmer than the north house. And at night, it can go down to 62 and cool itself down at 70. All right, just thought I'd show you that to compare it to the slightly cooler north greenhouse. Here is bench 1. Again, things are developing, lots of coleus, lots of different things to look at. A couple pepper plants we did early as one of our seed germination tests. Here's our tomatoes. These are all the tomatoes of various types that were started for our grafting project. So they're getting a little big for the grafting project. So I just want you to be aware of that. Here is our red Malabar spinach. And if you get to learn about red Malabar spinach, you'll learn that it's a vining crop, so you can kind of tell it's wanting to go up. A couple of the other crops you can see, seedlings that we started. Okay, and again, coleus. A couple of the things that are kind of nice to see, we have a little more germination on some of the sensitive plant, but we're running pretty high fungus gnats on that, so that's a little worrisome. Over here, our ferns are really getting going. So if you look, almost all of the ferns have really some nice, healthy, fresh new growth. Here's a little cuttings. I did that experiment where I took back the petunias, some pretty harsh cutting, and then I just made one more flat of cuttings to kind of show you. They're doing fine and they're forming roots already, so that's something we would normally have done a lot of at this time. The other one I'm going to show you across the way is Brenna's gardenia. These are the ones that are actually doing pretty nice and have some nice root development on them. So some of those took pretty well. Sensitive plant, I talked about that. Over here is the cardinal flower continuing to develop and probably needs to get put into separate pots. Again, I've been taking some of the native home and doing that because they're getting really tight and overgrown, but I haven't been able to take them all home because it's quite a job and it takes a lot of time to do that. I know this was one of the questions that came in from Twin. Here is the Salvia Salvatore Blue. You did get that little one that's actually missing from that cell right there. So again, you can kind of tell what that one is. If you have any specific questions, let me know about the natives or how anything is growing. You can tell we have a couple things just doing fine. If you can see your crop, go ahead and make notes on it. Here's the cardoon, doing well back there. Okay. I think I'm going to keep moving quickly because there's a lot to look at. Overall, here is the moringa. And again, you can see some of the different treatments that were started and the ones that were started earlier. Okay? Over here, well, let's go up and down really quickly because these ones are project plants as well. Here is the isolepsis or fiber optic grass. It's starting to make these little funny looking tips, and that's why it's called fiber optic grass. Here is some seeded rosemary and the seeded lavender. Hopefully you can kind of get a chance to figure out which is which. I haven't changed out the cards on these for the sticky traps. Should probably do that. Some sage, garden sage, and this is calendula, which is often used both as a flower and kind of an herbal edible. Here are some of the dahlias. Again, these are the seeded dahlias, and they really are putting on flowers, so that would be nice to cut back so we don't get too much of the problem with increasing thrips. In this greenhouse, overall, our thrips count are down. I did do a snap of the 5 flowers. You might have looked at that on one of our last videos. So the snap count this time was down to 2 thrips per 5 flowers and 5 snaps, and that was primarily done with our nasturtium flowers because nasturtium flowers are really good. They've got this big, long, tubular section in the back. That's a really nice place for thrips to hide. So again, sometimes I'll just look and examine it and see if I see any thrips down there. You can see how much pollen there is. Pollen. And that is what really attracts the thrips. Western flower thrips feed primarily on pollen. And again, succulents look great. We definitely need to think if we can do a little bit of a, well, maybe a grouping of succulents for our plant sale. Okay, I'm going to stop that at that. That is April 24th, MATC South Greenhouse.